So it just seems like hard work is all the rage these days, especially online on YouTube, on social media. You see videos with, David Goggins and Tony Robbins, and all these motivational speakers just telling you to work hard, that if you just outwork everyone, you'll be the best, you'll perform the best, you'll have a successful business. Basically, all this stuff saying that really what people are missing in life is that they don't work hard enough, and that's why they're not succeeding at what they want to succeed at. And of course, that includes you, the viewers of those videos, because you're watching that video. Obviously, you're missing that part of hard work. You're not hardworking enough, and that's why you're not succeeding. Or so it may seem, because have you ever actually sat down and thought about that for a little bit? Like, seriously, how is it possible that however many hundreds of thousands or millions of people who are watching that video all don't work hard enough, and that all of them will succeed after watching those videos? Obviously, the answer is that very few people who actually watch those videos are going to succeed, even if they work really hard. And why is that? Well, to begin with, if it was just so simple as to say that all you need is hard work, and there were millions of people watching those videos, well, I'd say that it'd actually be weird if that was working, because the only reason that there's so many people watching these kinds of videos is because there's people who want to make a change in their life and they're not able to. It's hard to think about all the reasons for not being able to succeed. So when someone gives you a promise of work hard and you'll succeed, that's like a very simple thing that anyone can do, and that's attractive. So that's why that seems like a realistic possibility. But in fact, that's not entirely true. Yes, you do need some level of effort and persistence to succeed at anything pretty much. But obviously, there's so many more factors than just hard work and persistence in order to succeed. It's pretty much a guarantee that almost everyone has worked hard at something in their life and failed at it. Just by that standard alone, hard work is not a guarantee for success. There's more to it. So basically, my aim in this video is to really determine what success is and break it down into parts to understand how to optimize for it. Hopefully what I share can shed some light on maybe why you're not succeeding as much as you want to at a certain thing, or maybe you're just starting something out and you want to have like a heads up of what to expect as you go into it. Obviously, I can't speak for every single field. This is just a general information that I've come across in my own thoughts and hearing other people speak and their experiences, as well as, of course, from my own successes and failures. And just before I go any further, I want to make a note that this video is strictly for success purposes. It's not necessarily for enjoyment. We'll touch on that later in the video, but nothing wrong with enjoying something if you're not like succeeding on it, at least in the social definition of success. But I'm specifically talking about success in this video, like actually optimizing for success beyond just working hard. So I've blabbered on and on about success in these first couple minutes, but I haven't even really defined what success is. All these YouTube gurus and social media and everything you see online is just like talking about success as if it's some universal definition, but it's not. People have different definitions for what success is. It means different things. It's not a singular term, right? It could be financial success. It could be how happy you are. It could be social success. There's success in so many different fields that just using success as a buzzword is not really efficient enough for people to understand and actually become successful in whatever they want to succeed in. So yeah, obviously come into this knowing that everyone, including you, has a different definition for success. And I think it's important to sit down and really think about what that means for you in your case. But obviously for the purpose of this video, and I'm trying to teach something to many people, I'm going to be defining success in a specific way, but also in a way that is applicable to most situations. So the way that I'm going to define success is basically the level at which you are competing. So yes, there is a you versus another compound to it, like there's a relative comparison. It's not just you. It's success in regards to the playing field, basically. So some examples: as a business, how competitive is your business compared to other businesses? If you're an actor, what kinds of roles are you landing? What kinds of movies are you playing in? How popular are those films? If you're training MMA, are you just fighting in your gym, or are you actually doing regional promotions, maybe nationwide or worldwide promotions? You can see that there's levels to this game, and For the purpose of this video, I'm defining success as really obtaining the level that you want to attain. Again, I don't mean to say that higher is necessarily better, but there are levels to what I'm talking about in regards to the way that I'm defining success. And again, for the sake of this video and the insights that I have to offer, that's just how I'm going to define it. It's in regards to the levels that you're playing at, regardless of what field you're in. And that's also to say that if you don't have a desire to be at a certain level, then that's fine. Like, you don't have to aim for the highest level. It's really about whatever level is most applicable to you, what you most want. If you enjoy playing basketball just in the park or at the gym, like, that's totally fine. There's no problem with that at all. And of course, the bar to success for that would be a lot lower than if you'd want to be playing in college or in the pros, on and on. You can see what I'm trying to say. Again, this ties back to the fact that success is really self-defined. It's something that you have to define for yourself, what you want, what your aims are, but there are still levels to it regardless. Okay, so putting the definition of success out of the way for now, I'm going to start talking about why hard work actually isn't enough. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but I haven't really gotten into it, so I want to actually demonstrate why hard work is not enough. So the simple answer as to why hard work is not enough is just because there's other factors to consider. It's not just about how hard you're working. In fact, sometimes working too hard can be to your detriment. People talk about going all in as if that means to really sleep for 2 hours a day and work for 22 hours a day. Do you really think that's going to be productive? How effective are you going to be on 2 hours of sleep? That's just an example, right? There's varying degrees to what people say is hard work, but really what going all in is, it's not just putting your head to the ground and grinding. It's about doing whatever is necessary, right? So it's not just about working hard. There's also a strategy component to it. Beyond strategy, there's also just circumstances, right? Your environment, your genetics, these play a huge factor that people just don't mention because it's not a happy reality that these are factors that influence your success for sure. I mean, try matching up a fighter who weighs 150 pounds to a fighter who weighs 250 pounds. They're just not going to compete at the same level because there's other factors, their genetics, their ability to gain weight, to be strong and muscular and tall, and it's just not a competition. So no matter how you see it, yes, genetics play a factor, and so does environment, like where you're at, where you started at, people around you, your opportunities. These are things that you can't really control that definitely influence your chances of success. And then of course there's just a luck factor, a random chance. Even if you have, for example, like a surfer, a pro surfer who is very talented, has a really good people around him, a good training team, good location, good facilities, good nutrition, everything that's perfect, he might still one day be on the surfboard and get bitten by a shark. That's just an element of random chance that it's very unlikely to happen, but it could happen. And even with all of your effort and even optimizing for circumstances, it's still not guaranteed, Just keep that in mind. So what am I trying to say? That this is all luck? Is it hopeless? Is it all up to chance? No. Again, there's many factors to success. I'm just saying that it's not only about hard work. It'd be easy to think of it that way. It'd be easy to think, okay, all I have to do is work hard. That's just lazy thinking. There's more to it than that, obviously. To put it as simply as possible, if you want to put success into like an equation, this is what I would do. Essentially, your chances of success equals circumstances times strategy. So what do I mean by circumstances? I'm talking about things that are out of your control. Again, environment, genetics, and luck, random chance. As for strategy, these are things that are mostly in your control. So this includes your plan, your commitment, your effort, and probably most overlooked is your perspective, specifically your perspective towards your circumstances. Okay, since we've basically established that for the purpose of this video that circumstances are not in your control, the point is to look at what you can control and optimize that. So I'm going to go into every point of strategy that I've mentioned into further detail. So the first part of strategy is having a plan. What is a plan exactly? A plan is basically a routine that you set up that you're going to do at a certain time interval, weekly, daily, monthly. That was not in the right order, but doesn't matter. And the point of a plan is to optimize your actions for a desired result. I think people largely forget this very often. They'll commit to a plan because supposedly it will lead them to the result that they want, but stuff happens. Maybe the plan doesn't work as planned, and they for some reason stick to the plan because they think it's the plan that's magically going to get them to where they want to be. No, again, the plan is a tool. It's not some magical thing that does it for you. So the point is that if your plan is in some way not optimized, if it's not moving you in the direction that you want to go, or if there's ways you can do something better, then the point is to adapt your plan. It's to change your plan to fit your needs better. Don't forget that the plan itself is not the goal. It just serves the goal as a tool. It's something you use to help guide your efforts. Yes, a plan is still, in most cases, needed. It definitely is a factor of success, but the plan itself is not rigid. It's not confined. You have to be able to adapt it on the fly. Now, this doesn't mean being lazy. Like if you are following a plan for a couple days and it's not working, probably need to wait a little longer in most cases, depending on what it is. Obviously, you have to be patient and really assess whether or not the plan is working. But if you've really given it enough time and effort and you've done everything else right and you're not moving forward, then yes, you'll have to adjust the plan. So again, assuming you have a good plan and you're adapting it as you need to, the point of a plan is to guide your actions, and this is pretty important to serve a goal that you're going for. Definitely an example of a factor of success that's not hard work. All right, so the next part of strategy, as I mentioned before, is basically your commitment, also known as consistency. So your commitment and consistency to the plan that you've made for yourself. So there's a couple of things to say about commitment and consistency. Again, it's not about being committed to the wrong plan. If the plan itself isn't working the way you want it to, then of course adapt it and commit to that. Don't just mindlessly commit to something that's not working. But yes, you don't want to be sitting back on the couch and not being consistent. If you have a workout schedule that you've determined you need 5 days a week to work out to be at a certain weight, then you should be in the gym 5 times a week. That's what I mean by commitment, is committing to what you've planned. If that means 3 times a week, then that's how many times you want to be there. So this brings into the question the topic that people love on the internet, the topic of discipline. This ties into the hard work thing. And yes, there is some truth to that. Sometimes you've got to be disciplined, and even if you're not motivated on a specific day, you've got to show up. Yes, sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes you actually do need a day off, but the default is following that plan, and then afterwards you can determine whether it was the right move or not, and then adjust your plan accordingly. That being said, there is a caveat. If every day you have to pull yourself out of bed to do this stuff, whatever you need to do to execute your plan, if you have to grind through it, if you hate it, in other words, then perhaps you have to reconsider not only your plan, but also your goal. Because ultimately, yes, there's going to be days where you're going to have to push yourself more than others, but if you're not enjoying it, then what's the point? Because ultimately, even if one day you succeed in the way that you want to, you're still going to have to be doing pretty much the same stuff that you're doing now. Might be a little bit less work, you might be getting more rewards for it, but I promise you that's not going to change much. Of course, in most cases, there's exceptions always, but generally speaking, if you're not enjoying it now most of the time, then you're not going to enjoy it later. And just personally speaking, I don't know why I'd ever want to do something every day that I hate just so that I can get a one-time reward every couple of weeks or however long it takes to get your goal. So my personal advice is to do something that you generally enjoy and that you don't always have to shovel yourself out of bed to do, that you actually look forward to doing. You have some natural motivation there. Again, I think this is the third time I'm saying this. Some days, even if you love what you do, you're going to have to push yourself. You're going to have to use like good old-fashioned discipline. But if that's every day, then probably the wrong goal. Honestly, there's so much out there that you can naturally enjoy, so there's no real reason to commit to something you don't actually like. Spend your time figuring out what you like and do that instead. The most consistent people are the people who actually enjoy what they're doing in some way. They may not completely love what they're doing, but some aspect of their craft or whatever they're doing is something that they enjoy. Find ways to enjoy things even if you don't love the whole thing. This will give you that extra burst of motivation to just be there every day or however much you need to be there. And if you're consistent, you're going to have a higher chance of success. That's just pretty basic information. All right, the next part of strategy is indeed effort, which, yes, that's hard work. Again, hard work on its own is not enough. You might get some random people here and there who get all their circumstances aligned and all they need left is hard work. Sure, but I can promise you that literally just grinding without any other concerns for any other part of strategy is not going to work most of the time. And since we're trying to optimize our chances for success, you're going to want to optimize those other factors. But yes, effort, hard work, and grit is required at times. If you're working a 9-to-5 job to support yourself, you have a place you live at and you need to pay for your rent and bills and food, but you also want to start a business on the side or make art or something like that, yeah, you're going to have to work outside of normal hours. That's going to require hard work. That's going to require grit and determination. To me, that's where hard work really comes in, is when you need to sacrifice things you'd like to have for what's more important for you. Ultimately, though, all things being considered, if you really enjoy what you love so much, it shouldn't be so hard, because if you enjoy it, then it's rejuvenating you. But there certainly are times that hard work is needed, like good old-fashioned grind, yes. Just know this is not the default, and it's not to be relied on its own. But yes, it's a factor for success, as are all the other factors I'm talking about. All right, so the final aspect of strategy that I've decided on for this video, that's perspective. And like I mentioned earlier, I think this one is most often overlooked. It's a huge factor for success. And the perspective that I'm talking about is specifically the perspective over your circumstances. In other words, how you view the things that you can't control. Most people, I'd say, look at the things they can't control as things that are holding them back. Like, oh, I'm working a 9-to-5. I don't have enough time to invest in this other project I want to work on. Or, I'm too short to be like LeBron James. Why can't I be 6'8" and dunk and have amazing genetics? Even something as simple as, man, I'm stuck at home. I want to be away from my family. I want to become independent. Why am I still here? Why do I have to go through this? Basically, the usual. It's basically complaints. I know that it's tough. I've done plenty of complaining myself. But the point I'm going to be trying to make here is that pretty much all circumstances can be aligned to your benefit if you just look at things a little differently. For example, if we go back to the LeBron example, you have someone like Steph Curry, who is 6'3", not super athletic, right? What if growing up he saw LeBron and he was like, man, I want to be just like LeBron? Would he ever become the Steph Curry we know today? Probably not, because he'd be focusing on how to try and grow taller somehow. He'd be focusing on upping his vertical jump. He'd be focusing on his finishing and through contact and just posterizing people. Steph Curry is literally not built for that, right? His build is more optimized for a different kind of play. Shooting, obviously, ball handling, playmaking, finishing in different ways, not like super aggressively, but craftier finishing. His game is suited to him, not to LeBron. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that it's very possible for someone like Steph to look at themselves and see everything that they're missing compared to someone like LeBron, but also you can see that his characteristics actually favor his play style, and he is considered one of the best basketball players of all time. Another example, like another sports example, is complaining that you're too short. You know what sport has a lot of short people succeeding? Gymnastics. It's better to be short in gymnastics. That's just an observation, by the way. I don't know that for sure, but from what I can see, it seems to be a benefit to be short in gymnastics. Even in the case of, let's say you are not able to afford school and you want to go to school. So one way of looking at that is, okay, I'm not going to be able to get a degree. I'm going to miss out on a valuable education. I'm not going to get a good job. I'm not going to make money. That's possible, but you're also getting the chance earlier on in life to find work, learn on the job, get more applicable skills, actually have real life experience, and miss out on a ton of debt that might hold you back if you went to school. Again, same situation, two completely different perspectives. Which one do you think is going to be more beneficial for you? Basically, it's about choosing something that you're actually more suited for. Like, actually look at yourself, look at your skill set, look at what you're capable of, look at what you've done, and optimize for that. You might not be exactly what you want, but I can promise you it'll be better than what you think you want. I'm not saying to ignore your desires entirely. Actually, that's a big part of it too, is considering what you enjoy. Because going back to the consistency thing, enjoyment really feeds consistency, and consistency feeds success. But also just good feeling from enjoyment really promotes good performance as well. So that's actually an important factor. The point is to consider not only your enjoyment and not only what you're suited for, but both. Not to consider some weird fantasy of if you're 5'10" wanting to play like LeBron, because that's just not suited to who you are. You'd be better off training other skills than LeBron would. Now, this is a little bit more advanced, and I would say it's optional, but what you can also do is, especially if you're in a situation where you really don't like it and you can't really get out of it anytime soon, you can learn to enjoy little bits and pieces of that situation. So what do I mean? What I mean is that even in those situations which you hate, maybe there's little aspects of it that you really enjoy. Maybe if you have to write papers for work, for example, you hate writing papers, but maybe you enjoy formatting it in a certain way. You might even just enjoy getting it done at the end of the day. If you focus on that good feeling, it'll grow, it'll expand, and you're going to feel better overall. You're going to expand your ability to enjoy everything in general. You're going to hate your work less, you're going to perform better, and I only see pluses there. So in these cases where you don't really enjoy what you're doing currently, even though you kind of have to, at least temporarily, just give an honest look at what's holding you back from enjoying that thing and let those things go. I'm not saying to be complacent, I'm just saying use the opportunity as a chance to increase your ability to enjoy things. Again, this is another aspect of perspective. See things in a light that is most positive for you. Try to turn your perspective into your favor. Even though you can't control it, you can control how you see it. Right, yeah, so that's basically most of what I wanted to talk about. Just a little bit of a recap. We spoke about the different factors of success, namely being circumstances and strategy. Putting circumstances out of the way because we can't really control those. We talked about optimizing for a plan, commitment, effort, and perspective. And overall, just learning how to optimize your situation, whatever situation it is, for whatever field, for success, which we've also discussed is a game of levels. So look, still, none of this guarantees anything. You could have everything go right, and again, you could be that surfer who just gets his arm chewed off. On the other hand, you could be completely messed up circumstances, completely bad strategy, but your random chance might be insane. This is like winning the lottery. If you watch One Piece, the character Buggy, he's an example of pretty much incredible luck, incredible random chance. You know, I'm not going to spoil it for those who aren't there yet, but he's just not a capable guy at all and doesn't really have circumstances really in his favor. But he's just so lucky that things end up working out for him. Yes, that's possible, and there's people like that in real life, obviously. But for the rest of us, we have to optimize in regards to what we can control. Just a final analogy to wrap things up. If you're a surfer, there's two aspects to surfing well. One aspect is how well you can surf. This is like your skill. This is basically what I call strategy. Your skill, the effort you put into getting better, your enjoyment of it, your consistency. Then, and people don't really think about this very often, but there's also the wave. The surfer has to catch a wave. The wave has to be there. That wave in this example is your circumstances, the environment, your genetics, and luck. So it's not just the surfer who makes a good surfer, even though that sounds like it should be self-explanatory. The surfer needs a wave. If he's in a pond with no waves, he can't surf, no matter how good he is. So yes, circumstances matter, but that doesn't mean that your strategy doesn't. In either way, you could be extremely lucky or extremely unlucky. The point is there's no guarantees ever, but you can stack the deck in your favor. And I hope what I taught today can help with that and that you've learned something from this. Please, if you enjoyed or you took some value out of this, like and subscribe. That really helps my channel. And yeah, thanks for watching.